Hello, humans. Master Dinner Flights here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve. And today, I wanted to mention that humanity has a lot of questions. Questions that we don't know if they'll ever be answered. Like, what lies beyond the stars? What is the true meaning of life? And why has Master Dinner Flags been playing a bad structure deck for 5 years in a row? And today, I am here to answer exactly one of those questions, and maybe another one. But, it's time. It is the 5-year anniversary of Lair of Darkness. Yes, this structure deck is 5 years old. And man, that makes me feel old because in my mind, this is one of the newer structure decks. It's just not. It really isn't. So, as you can see, I got out the old mat. If you guys ever find yourself randomly wandering on my older videos, you'll probably see this mat from time to time. It's probably, one of my oldest, like, meme mats. Let me see if I can move it. Yeah. It literally has the date right here. Lair sucks stick, from the words of John Moore himself. Yeah, so, like, you can see, this came around when I was testing, like, a Dark Lord engine in the deck. This is when the only Lady of Lament was Lilith. This was when Diablos was a requirement of the deck, and, like, Arima right here. And, like, all the back rows, like, not waking the dragon, reckless greed, like, a lot of old theory from a really long time ago is all on this mat, and, I'm annoyed to say that it hasn't changed that much, but I actually think that's for the better. So, I'll tell you right now, I would not be playing this structure deck 5 years in a row if it wasn't my favorite deck of all time. As a matter of fact, you see me gush over all these random, cool, stupid-ass pet decks, but despite that, I'll take time off of them. But this one doesn't have the case, and that's because it's not just my favorite deck, it's my number 0 favorite deck, as I like to call it. As in, every other deck in the entire game is competing for second place when it comes to my favorite deck. This is so unfathomably uncontested that I just play it. It's a part of my existence. It's basically like, in the same way that no matter how bad Burning Abyss gets, it's still Farfa's favorite deck because it's a part of his identity after a certain point. And it's the same here. But it isn't just because it's part of my identity. The playstyle of this deck is very unique. It is genuinely, it used to be truly one of a kind. Now Rika can quote tribute opponent's monsters, and Labyrinth can recruit normal traps. But Rika is very limited on what it allows you to do that with. And Labyrinth is ultimately its own deck with its own playstyle, whereas this one is also its own deck with its own playstyle. And because it uses two truly generic resources, you can just rethink this deck from the ground up over and over again, and it gives this deck like an infinite replayability value, which is so genuinely one of a kind. Because there's no right answer to exactly how you should look at this deck, because there's new ideas you can test, because it's just using the generic normal traps, and it's just using generic tribute effects. Like, there's just so many ways to go about it, and that's how it's maintained being my favorite deck of all time for so long. But now we've gone over this history, let's get into this deck profile, shall we? We got 3 Lilith. It's very, very obvious. It is the heart and soul of this deck. I would say when we get more support for this deck, we need another card like Lilith, or we need special summons. Because, man, opening this up with Lair is just so incredibly powerful. Again, it's like the heart, it's the main interaction of this deck. It's incredibly powerful going first, incredibly powerful going second. It is just incredibly, incredibly strong. Fantastic. Then for the rest of the Ladies of Lament, playing 2 Alice. It is a Wolf Bark, while also being an extender, while also being a searcher, which is crazy. This card is crazy bloated. You can banish a normal trap from your grave, special summon it from hand, which comes up all the time, which is why I play multiples, because sometimes going second, I'll just crash it into something after imperming it to get a Lilith, and then activate Yugioh Lair, and then we'll call it a day from there. And because you're crashing it, you're getting a search and damage step, so they can't ash you, which is really nice. Yeah, it's like actually just better going second than it is going first because of that, but it's still very, very strong. Not to mention it can help you make XEs for like Zeus and whatnot. Then we got Loris. Loris is like a better version of what the Malice Lilith loop was back in the day, where basically every time Lilith gets a trap out of the deck, and Loris and Malice would put a trap back into the deck, so you get to resource any normal trap indefinitely. But this one just skips putting it in the deck, and it sets it back immediately, so when Lilith gets a new trap, you also get the old trap back. And then afterwards, this can just put traps back in the deck anyways, so it's just like a superior version of the Lilith Malice loop. And plus, in addition to this, it just makes tie substantially better. And the fact that when it puts back cards, it also gets you a draw is really nice. So, yeah. And then the final Lady of Lament, which shows you how old this deck is, that we have established lore, or fanfic lore, I guess. Triple Tour Guide. I'm going to be totally honest. If you can't see the resemblance between these two, I don't know how you wouldn't. Pretty much, opening this and just a card to discard is full Lilith Lair access, because you go ahead, summon this out, turn them into Muckraker, discard a card, bring back Lilith, tribute the Muckraker, and that'll set 3 Metaverse, which is Lilith Lair, which is really nice. Yeah, I think it's so funny that I've played this deck long enough to have established a small lore behind it, which is a nice meme. Then finally, for the last of the level 3 fiends, we got one Sangyan. I felt like my ties needed to be a little more powerful, because getting Lilith, Loris, and then Alice, which is usually what I go for, the Loris isn't going to be alive immediately, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. So I'd rather get like Lilith, Alice, Sangyan, because the Sangyan will get you hand trap. And the trap I'm going to search is one I'll show you later, that's going to specifically balance Alice. So if you don't have Lair, when Lilith tributes itself, it's not a big deal, because you'll just normal summon this on the follow-up, and then bring back Lilith to get even more traps and or make her rank 3. So, yeah. And then for the final fiends, I'm actually playing this package, which is 1 Lady Labyrinth and 1 Lovely Labyrinth, which is basically they're both big welcome targets. I only play big welcome because regular welcome is a poo-poo stink card in here. Like, you have to play actual Labyrinth for that card to be good. Whereas big welcome is an independently good card because it doesn't lock you in and out of fiends. In addition to that, it can trigger Lovely Labyrinth immediately. It can summon them back from the deck or from the hand or graveyard, whereas welcome needs it specifically from the deck. Lady Labyrinth, it's just a tank. Lovely Labyrinth can just like delinquent duel your opponent multiple times. Like, these cards are fantastic, but I wouldn't play so many of them that I have to basically play Welcome Labyrinth or go on more traps than I want to make Lady in hand live. So just a small package like that. And even if they go to grave, Big Welcome can just set them back. So it's not like it's that much of an issue there. And finally, the hand traps to search with Sangyan. 2 Ash, 2 Veiler. Again, it goes to show how old this deck is. I have an entire playset of Super Ashes from 2018 when they were like $30 a copy, specifically because they were a gift. And I just have never abandoned them, so they just always end up in my deck list. Then I bought Ultra Veilers like 2019, and I just use them all the time because I think the really old school Ultras look kind of cool. Not super, super old school, but like Duelist Revolution Ultras look really cool to me. And that's it for the monsters. For the spells, Ties, no matter how much time passes, Ties is just a really good card. This is another way they could actually support this deck, is giving them their own Ties of the Brethren. Because not that many ladies give themselves their own ability to special summon, outside of only Alice. So having a way to, like, copy that would be really cool. But yeah, 3 Ties of Brethren. You target any of the level 3 fiends, turn it into, like, Sangan and Lilith, or whichever one you need to set it up, and then you just get a whole bunch of disruptions for free, and a lot of resources, and a lot of follow-up. Triple Pot of Extravagance. So I go for Extravagance almost all the time over Prosperity in this deck. Because, yeah, you want to see Lair Lilith, but you already have enough ways to see that naturally, and a lot of the times, you really just want more cards. You don't want, like, if you have everything, or if you have both Lair and Lilith, Prosperity is just not great, and if you have neither, Prosperity isn't great, and it's also not particularly great past turn 1. I think I've explained this multiple times before, so a lot of the times just Extra beats it out a lot of the time, because you just want to see more cards. Then we got 2 Lair of Darkness and 1 Labyrinth. These cards are really cool. Now, I'm playing Labyrinth, because this removes the ability for me to play Back to the Front, which Back to the Front is a miserable card, honestly. It was good back in the day when you only needed to use like 1 or 2 traps to stop your opponent, but we're past that. There's been accelerating power creep, so you don't want to have a trap that just does nothing on your opponent's turn. But when you like hit a metaverse, you can turn it into Lair, which allows you to tribute your opponent's stuff, or you can turn it into Labyrinth, which can either revive one of your fiends, but in addition, if you activate Big Welcome in it, it gets you another pop that you wouldn't have originally. So these can basically be turned into disruptions with Metaverse, which is nice. And then, of course, the 3 Metaverse. Then the 3 Big Welcome Labyrinth. You just activate this. If you have no monsters, you'll summon Lady, and then summon it out, and you get like a free Blue Eyes White Dragon that gets you new traps every turn. Then its compulsive effect is very good. But when you have a monster, then it gets much better, because you'll summon out Lovely instead. And you just get to take cards away from your opponent. Like if you have Lilith and a token, you can bounce a token, or even just Lilith alone. You can bounce a Lilith after it tributed with Lair, get to rip a card out of your opponent's hand, and then during the end phase, they're forced to get a token. Then at the start of their turn, just banish this to remove their token, just get to rip another card from your opponent, and it's really powerful, and you can grind your opponent out of the game basically before they do much of anything with it, which is nice. Then we got Triple Imperm. Not the most powerful normal trap, but it's one you can activate turn 0, which is nice. And in addition, it allows you to put a trap in grave for Alice without needing to wait, which is really strong. Like I said, Alice and like Imperm, they're like go second cards, so that's really handy. Then finally, 2 ofs that are just like good trap stuff removal. We got 2 Punishment, 2 Overroot. Removes your need to play back row removal in this deck, because this is back row removal. And in addition to being back row removal, it's infinite, because this is an infinite trap resource, so nice. And then 2 Karma Cannon. You will just never need to out Towers monsters ever again because of this trap. And then you just get to book Eclipse the board, which is nice. What's really nice about these traps is our normal trap pool has actually been adjusting to power creep as of late, which is nice. Outside of Punishment, which came out in 2020, like, these are hard adjustments. And you can tell that because of their versatility. Not just their effects, but their versatility. This card isn't just removal, but it's also back row removal. So we don't need to play, like, Ice Dragon's Prison and Heavy Storm Duster, which would usually be these originally. A Dogmatic of Punishment, not only is it a double pop, but you can dump the Tri-Brigade Link 5, and then not only do you get to pop much bigger monsters than you used to, but you get a draw. So this card can become either a double pop or a pop and a draw, which is much more versatile. And then even when we get Duelist Nexus, you can even dump the new Chimera, which is just a reborn for all fiends. So this card just keeps getting more versatile, which is nice. And then Karma Cannon, its versatility is that it's like a massive board wipe. But not only does it set them, which is like really handy because that clogs those zones, but in addition, you don't need to out towers monsters and trap decks anymore. So it's really cool how incredibly versatile these traps alone are, which is why I play them. So that's it for the main deck. For the side deck, it's a little interesting because it's basically a different deck profile. Let me just lay it out all at once. 2 Arima, 1 Diablos, 1 Lair, 2 Kaijus, 3 Gamma, 1 Driver, 2 Econ, 3 evenly matched. Basically, when I'm going second, I just plop this entire side deck into my main deck and take out 15 cards. Because I fully transition into a going second build, which is what all these cards enable. And I believe what I cut are these most of the time. It can depend depending on the scenario. 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So basically, you have cut all the primarily going first cards to replace it with primarily all the going second cards. Pretty nice little side deck gimmick you can do. The only thing is, you are missing out on really powerful going first side deck cards, but I mean, not really a big deal because mainly game 2 and 3, you're probably just going to go second. Truthfully, you're probably just going to go second a lot of the time. You might keep some of the going first engines occasionally, but a lot of the time you're just going to super aggro your opponent out of the game 2 and 3. So, for the extra deck, the only card I'm missing is actually just the Tri-Brigade Link 5, which is like 12 cents. That's because I ordered it months ago and still haven't received it, which is annoying. But we got 2 Muckraker. Yeah. Another quote, Lady of Lament, which, you know what? Since we're doing this wild-ass video, I'm going to establish some lore right now. What I truly think all these characters have in common with, like, the Ladies of the Underworld and Ladies of Lament, I truly think what these 6 are is they're 2 different tribes of succubus, by the way. Completely random tangent. I think lore-wise, these are just 2 different tribes of succubi that went about evolving 2 different ways, whereas this one, more social interactions, decided instead of cute, instead of like sensual and scary, they went like the cute and friendly route. And this one, instead of where they were, they decided to become literally just apex predators and eat people. And that's what I really think it is. I think they're just 2 different tribes. Regardless, that's totally not relevant to the deck profile. We got 2 Muckraker, 1 Beat Cop, 2 Dark, 1 Akashek, and that's because we're siding the Kaiju, so you can just tour guide out, like, whatever, bounce it back, get to Kaiju them again, or you can just, like, Akashek them regardless. It was pretty cool. Then we got Nightmare Unicorn, mainly with Dark, pretty nice. And then, like I said, right here would be the Tri-Brigade Link 5, but don't have it. Then, punishment targets, well, the fusions, I should say. Just these guys, 2 Ents, 1 Garua for the Tri-Brigade guy. So you can turn it into a draw or pops, whichever one you need. And then finally, for the XEs, we got Levier, DDD, Stone King Darius, Machinax, which these 2 establish like 2 disruptions. If like you're not really seeing much of any traps, you can kind of go into this, and this is disruptive. Like the Leviers for runic garbage, and then Zeus, Zeus. It's only in here, really, to make your opponent banish it. And if it isn't, then you just get to Zeus your opponent because these two will be a 2-use Zeus. So that's it for the deck, besides the tokens. But before I finish this, I'm going to show off a quick combo, which is going to be a dumb thing to say when we're playing a trap deck. Alright, now, for this demonstration, all we need is a combo of like Lilith, Sangan, or Alice, and then ties, and then for the memes, we can just go Lair of Darkness as well. So we'll ties out Lilith, bring out Alice, bring out Sangan. Lilith will tribute Sangan, and that will give us Big Welcome. But in addition to that, the Sangan gets us Ash Blossom. So, really, really ultra simple setup, and what we're getting out of it is like 3 disruptions, because of Lair Lilith, which is a disruption, Big Welcome Labyrinth, which is a disruption in this specific setup, and then Ash Blossom, which is another. So, not a bad one. But let's go into our opponent's turn. They make a play, we Ash it. They make another play, we Lilith it away, get another trap. Which, in the cases of like that, you usually want to get like maybe a follow-up like punishment or whatnot. Or you could even do Metaverse if you wanted to. Then you can go into Labyrinth. So we'll just set another one. And finally, when we activate Big Welcome, we're going to go ahead and summon Lady Labyrinth and bounce the Alice. And this is the setup I was talking about. Because Alice on the following turn can revive that Lilith if it doesn't use its effect. But then in addition, we get to pop with Lady. So we get to pop another card. And like depending on whatever else they have and you have, it usually ends the turn a lot of the time. But then afterwards, they will get a token in end phase because we tributed their stuff. And then back into our turn, we're just going to go ahead and banish this immediately. Bounce the token. This will rip a card out of their hand. Then we will tribute Lilith to get another trap. And then when we do that, you can also link these away if you want to, but I don't think it's good. Then after that, we can go ahead and Alice, bring back Lilith. And let's say we set Metaverse first. We can go ahead and set up that, where we just get a Labyrinth to hand, and this can allow us to like trade out into another field that allows us to like get revival when we use it. But then like if we use that, we can go ahead and set it back with Lady. So this is a huge setup. That's like genuinely hilarious, because we basically get to set up all this, and we haven't even like really committed much of anything. There's even certain setups where you'll like have another trap you'll save to your opponent's turn when you get to here, and that allows you to revive the Sangan, which the Lilith will then tribute to get another hand trap in conjunction with all of this. So there's like a lot of really cool plays right here. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching this stupid structure deck for 5 years. That is obnoxious. You should seek professional help. But I mean, you've already sold your soul to like a really low quality YouTuber, and I mean, you're probably past the point of help. So I'm sorry, but deal with it. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinnerflax will take your soul.